Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Hello my axolotls. Welcome back to another video. So I really want to read page 6 of the Worshiping Yandere Ticci Toby X Raider story. Yeah, random question. Should I or should I not read another story to you all? Like, in my community, like, I think I've said it before, but I'm asking again. Should I finish reading this, or should I read 2 other cool stories that I found for you? Because I'm going to be finding more cool stories for me to read to you guys. But yeah, let me know your answer in the comment where that is on my community, and let's go on to page 6. Toby lay in his bed long after the last light in the house had dimmed, the silence heavy around him. His thoughts were a whirlwind, a constant storm swirling in his head. His chest was tight, and every time he closed his eyes, he saw you. Your smile, your laugh, the warmth of your presence. But now there was something else, something new, something he wasn't prepared for. He'd developed feelings for you. Deep, aching feelings. It wasn't just the way you'd sat with him at lunch, or the way you smiled at him as though he mattered. It was the way you made him feel. Like he wasn't invisible. Like he could be someone important, someone worthy of love. And now Toby wanted more. He wanted you to see him the way he saw you. He wanted to make you his, but he didn't know how. Toby wasn't good at these things. He wasn't good at asking for what he wanted, at putting himself out there in a way that didn't make him feel like he was drowning. He needed help. That's when he thought of his sister. His older sister, Lyra, had always been His older sister, Lyra, had always been different. She wasn't like their parents. She wasn't cruel or distant. In fact, Lyra had always been the one to check on him. The one who had tried to protect him when their dad's anger flared. She understood him, even when no one else did. Toby knew he could talk to her. She might not understand the feelings he had for you, but he could at least try. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. The house was quiet, his parents still arguing downstairs, but Lyra's door was shut. She was probably in her room, reading or doing something else. She did to avoid the chaos that consumed their lives. Taking a deep breath, Toby slipped out of bed and quickly padded down the hallway. He stopped in front of his sister's door, hesitating for a moment. What if she doesn't get it? What if she thinks I'm crazy? But then he thought of you again, how you'd made him feel like maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as invisible as he had always believed. He knocked softly. Lyra. Toby's voice was barely above a whisper, but he knew she could hear him. A moment passed before the door creaked open, and Lyra's tired eyes met his. She raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised to see him. "Hey, what's up?" She asked, her tone light, but with an undercurrent of concern. Toby shifted uncomfortably, his fingers fidgeting with the hem of his hoodie. I need to talk to you about something." Larry stepped aside, allowing him to enter. Sure, come on. Sure. What? Sure, come in. What's on your mind? Toby sat on the edge of her bed, his hands still trembling slightly as he wrung them together. Lyra sat beside him, waiting patiently for him to speak. "It's about someone at school," Toby began, his voice barely audible. "Someone I like." Lyra's expression softened, and she nudged him gently with her elbow. "Ah, I see. Someone caught your eye, huh?" Toby nodded, his gaze focused on the floor. "Yeah, her name's Anna." He bit his lip, the name leaving his mouth with a mix of longing and nervousness. "She's kind to me. She doesn't treat me like everyone else does, and I think and I think I like her. Lyra smiled softly, her eyes gentle. That's sweet, Toby. I'm glad you have someone who makes you feel good about yourself. Toby's heart raced at her words. He wasn't used to hearing anything positive about himself. It almost felt strange. But then he continued, I don't know what to do. I've never really been with anyone, and she's so different. I don't know if she'd want someone like me. I'm not normal. His voice cracked slightly, the vulnerability too much for him to contain. I don't even know how to ask her out. Lyra let out a thoughtful hum, crossing her arms as she leaned back. Well, first off, you're not normal, Toby. You're you, and Anna obviously sees something in you, or she wouldn't be talking to you like she does. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Toby looked at her, his eyes wide. You think so? I know so, she reassured him. But you're right about one thing. You're not great at being upfront about your feelings. You have to show her you care. You don't have to go all out and make some huge gesture. Just be honest. Tell her how you feel. But take it slow, okay? Don't try to rush anything. Let her see the real you. Toby nodded slowly, her words sinking in. Be honest, take it slow. Could it really be that simple? Thanks, Lyra, Toby said quietly, his mind already racing with possibilities. He let a flicker of hope stir in him. Maybe it wasn't so impossible after all. Lyra ruffled his hair with a soft chuckle. Anytime, little bro. Just remember, no matter what happens, you've got me in your corner. Toby's chest swelled with gratitude. She wasn't perfect. No one in their family was. But she was the one person who had always been there for him. And for the first time in a long while, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he could make this work. He smiled, his gaze drifting to the window. Tomorrow he would take the first step. He would talk to you again. And maybe, just maybe, it would be the beginning of something more. Time skip. Toby sat at his desk. The soft light of his lamp casting long shadows across his room. His sketchbook lay open in front of him. But his attention was not on the drawings. Instead, his focus was on the blank piece of paper he had placed carefully in front of him. What do I even say? The thought had plagued him all day. He had told himself that he would ask you out, ask you how you felt, be open about his feelings, but each time he tried to form the words in his mind, they felt clumsy, weak. How could he make you see him the way he saw you? How could he make you understand just how much you meant to him? His fingers drummed lightly on the desk as his eyes scanned the blank page. Frustration creeping up his throat. He'd been trying to think of the right way to say it all, but nothing felt right. He had to get it perfect. You can't mess this up, Toby. You can't. With a deep breath, he picked up his pen. Slowly he began to write, his handwriting messy but determined, letting the words spill out onto the page like a flood. Anna, I don't know how to say this. I've never been good with people, especially with feelings. But since we started talking, something's changed. You've been different. You're the first person to really see me. Not as some freak or some weird kid, but as me. And that's why I think I like you. No, I know I like you. I just wanted to say it to make sure you know. I know I'm not like the other guys. I'm not normal, but I care about you a lot. And I really hope you feel the same. I think you're amazing, Anna. You make me feel like I'm not invisible. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, would you want to go out with me sometime? Toby paused after finishing the last sentence, his heart pounding in his chest. He read the words over and over again, trying to make sure they were right, that they conveyed everything he felt. But the more he read, the more self-doubt crept in. Is this too much? Too little? What if she thinks I'm crazy? What if she doesn't feel the same way? The uncertainty clawed at him, and the fear of rejection sent a cold shiver down his spine. He knew he couldn't go back now. There was no way to undo this. His hands hovered over the page for a moment, longer, before he let out a shaky breath and turned to leave the desk behind. But something nagged at him, something inside telling him to prepare. He stood up and made his way to the bathroom. The mirror felt cold against his skin as he stared at his reflection, his heart racing in his chest. He had rehearsed a few words in his head, but now in front of the mirror, it felt different. This was real. This was happening. Toby took a deep breath, and his voice came out in a soft whisper, barely audible even to his own ears. Hey, Anna, I've liked you for a while. I don't know how to say this, but I really care about you, he faltered, looking at himself with a mix of doubt and desperation. Ugh, that sounds dumb. He rubbed his face in frustration. The words felt too simple, too basic. How could he possibly tell you how much you meant to him with just those few lines? How could he make you understand that he needed you more than he'd ever needed anything else? And Toby took another breath and tried again, this time with more conviction. Anna, I know I'm not like the other guys, but you, oh my gosh. Anna, I know I'm not like the other guys, but you make me feel like I'm not invisible. I've never felt this way before. I don't know what you're thinking, but I want to be with you. I care about you more than anyone else ever has. The words still didn't feel right, but Toby couldn't stop himself from speaking them out loud, the fear and hope swirling inside him. He stared at his reflection, hoping that he was making sense, hoping that somehow, some way, you would understand. It has to be perfect. You have to make her see. But even as he stood there, Toby couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't in control of this anymore. His feelings for you were consuming him, twisting his thoughts, until all he could think about was you. Your smiles, your laugh, the way you look at him during lunch, like you mattered for the first time. He didn't want to lose that. He didn't want to lose you. Toby dropped his head into his hands, frustration boiling over. How do I make her see me? He muttered to himself. The words from his sketchbook floated into his mind. You're mine now, Anna. I won't let anyone take you from me. With a final glance at his reflection, Toby left the bathroom. He returned to his desk and folded the piece of paper carefully, as though it were a fragile treasure. He wasn't sure what would happen when he gave it to you, but one thing was clear. He had already started down a path he couldn't walk back from. Toby knew he was falling deeper. He just didn't know if he was ready for what came next. Oof, that is a very, very long-ass page. But yeah, anyways, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!